Roota.com with your morning Horn of Z's, your sip of coffee, your morning news. I like this name for the morning newscast, and I know a lot of you like it too. My marketing staff, it's the right side of my brain instead of the left side of my brain, is saying, no, it'd be too much to explain to people what the Horn of Z's is. The Horn of Z's it means a sip of coffee in a language called Bootling, which is a Northern California language that was invented about 100 years ago by people working in the fields so they can gossip in front of the kids who are working right next to them. That's what used to happen back then, is that kids started working at a young age with their family out in the fields, picking the crops and pruning and you name it. So will we return to those days where a hard day's work is something that is something to strive for as a kid, other than sitting in front of the TV playing video games? I think we're going to return to it very soon, sooner than most expect. Anyway, this is the news for 2017, so I will move on. And in the new world that we know of, 2017 and going forward, the cryptocurrencies are with us and will stay with us. Those of you who have not gotten in yet, you will. You will get in. At some point, you will get in. Might be 5 years from now, might be 10 years from now, but you will be participating in the cryptocurrencies. Mark my words. Those of you who joined the Road to Roota 1.5 years ago, and the Road to Roota, the private road, costs $299 a year, and you get 10% of it back in Bitcoin. So those of you who signed up for the Road to Roota private road 1 year ago today have seen the cryptocurrency that you got back, the 10% in cryptocurrency, go up 10 times. So you have I paid for your Road to Roota membership, and you're going to see that year after year after year. So there is no reason, no excuse now not to join the Road to Roota, the private road. Go to the Road to Roota website. Anyway, here's what I'm talking about. Bitcoin is now at $2,213, and in September of 2015, a year and a half ago, Bitcoin was $220. So yeah, you've seen a 10x jump in the price of Bitcoin. It's going to go a lot farther. Remember, there's not that many more people that are in cryptocurrencies than there was back then. The price has just gone up because those involved with the cryptocurrencies understand that it is part of our future and will be there. You know, just imagine if the Greeks turned down the EU bailout and went to Bitcoin and gave all their citizens some Bitcoin on their cell phones to participate in the economics of day-to-day life. Greece would be the most prosperous country in the world today, and there would be more and more people involved in the cryptocurrencies, and they wouldn't have to bow down to their masters in Brussels that run the EU. So, and it's not too late, Greece. You got another turning point coming up where you're going to have to decide: do you bow to your masters once again, or do you move on to something else? Reintroduce the drachma, or why not go with what the future holds? Go to Bitcoin immediately and distribute by Bitcoin. You know, you can get 500,000 coins and distribute partial Bitcoin to everybody, and the government can be fully funded with Bitcoin. Yes, the price would go up dramatically, but you want the price to go up. You want that price to increase the wealth of your people and your government. So there's your hint, Greece. Now, Ethereum has just gone off the charts, as it should. It is a brand new technology. It is the basis of using the blockchain in the future. There are other companies and other software technologies that can allow companies and people with good ideas to use the blockchain, but Ethereum's the number one platform. It was one of the first, and it is being accepted by the public. As you can see by the price, it's up 100% in the last week. Ethereum, just at the beginning of the year, was around it was around $12 or something ridiculous. So yes, Ethereum, people are starting to understand just what Ethereum is and how many ways it can be used and utilized to access blockchain technology. I see it as, investing in Microsoft on day one when it was introduced, Microsoft stock. It's better than that, obviously, because it's not a stock. It's a token. But if you go back to the very early days before anybody knew what Microsoft was going to be, you'd be brilliant if you invested your life savings in Microsoft when it first went public. All right, same with all the other stocks that have gone ballistic, Google and things like that. You look back to the very early days, and nobody knew, nobody had vision about where this could go. And if you've done any studying in the cryptocurrencies or in blockchain technology, you'll know that Bitcoin and Ethereum are going to be around for a long, long time, and it's still very, very early. Very early. Just wait until governments around the world announce that they're using Ethereum and Bitcoin. Yes, we are talking millions of dollars per coin. And here they sit at $2,200 and $191. And you, Mr. Listener, Mr. YouTube, brilliant YouTube patron who is spending your time learning instead of spending your time on video games, you could get in on the ground floor, and this is still the ground floor. Bitcoin was introduced in 2009, and it took a good 4 or 5 years for people to understand what it could be. Well, maybe 2 or 3 years, understand what it could be, and to understand that it's going to be around for a long time. Now they're starting to get that. They're starting to understand it. Ethereum is much newer, and it really is a technology, a platform to use a technology, the blockchain technology. I do see in the very near future Ethereum market cap going higher than Bitcoin's market cap. There's just more uses. Bitcoin to me can be used as a currency, a form of money, and yes, store of value in a sense, but the main function of Bitcoin is when central banks stop functioning and the unbacked fiat monetary system gets destroyed because the bankers are abusing it. And just imagine the functionality if everybody had Bitcoin on their smartphone. It's a saver. It is not a saver as in savings. It's a saving of our way of life. If everybody made that shift to Bitcoin after the banks crashed the next time, the whole world would be better off. And people are starting to understand it now. That's why the price is going up. And don't worry about bubbles. And yes, it could get cut in half in a blink of an eye, but in the long run, it's going to be around. It'll be volatile, so don't use leverage to buy a Bitcoin and try to get rich that way, because leverage is great going up because you make twice as much if you lever 2 to 1, but going down you're going to lose twice as much. So be safe, get your feet in the cryptocurrencies. The rest of them, nobody knows which ones will survive. If you believe in Cliff High's data, Bitcoin and Ethereum will be the 2 main ones going over the next, say, 50 years. Can you imagine the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum in 50 years? There will be other coins that we just don't know, which ones, and there's over 700 of them, so it's difficult to pick. If they have a use and you understand that use, other than use as a form of money, which is Bitcoin, and use to access the blockchain, most likely will be Ethereum. But other uses as well, and they will be around most likely. Remember, when the banks crash, all the markets crash as well. So all the exchanges for Bitcoin, all the online wallets will crash, and you'll be part of a bankruptcy trying to get your Bitcoin out of places like Coinbase and any online storage. I don't trust any. If it relies on a company staying in business, then you're at risk. If you rely on any third party, I don't care who it is, even a hard copy offline storage wallet, an electronic storage wallet, does Trezor rely on the company staying in business? I don't think it does, because it is, it's that little chip thing, but the backup surely does, because Trezor won't be around. I'm not an expert there, so you're going to have to do your own homework. I like the paper wallets, because you sit there and you have your codes. You have your public address and your private address in hand, and that's the only copy you have. The only copy the world has. So you got to protect it. But yeah, for protection, there's nothing better, in my opinion, because it comes down to you and your guns. How many guns do you have? All right, let's move on. Let's go to the news, because there's so much going on. It is absolutely insane. The Seth Rich case, the DNC staffer who was the leaker to WikiLeaks, being murdered, shot in the back twice. As far as I know, the case is still open. Not sure about that, though. But having it in the news is the worst thing that the bad guys want. The Clinton crime family and the DNC crime family and all the deeds of the past will come flooding back. So there's going to be a lot of news about Seth Rich in the alt media that will start sneaking into the main media. Just at the top of Zero Hedge, DNC affiliates increased involvement in Seth Rich case after Wheeler claims. Representatives of the Rich family have ties to the DNC, the SEIU, law firm at the center of the 1990s Whitewater scandal. Yes, Seth Rich's parents, who denied what the investigator was saying no, we don't endorse him, are a criminal family. They'll probably go to jail when the truth is found out, because they were in charge. They were involved in their own son's death. It is so sad, and so this family, it gets to the heart of corruption. At the end of the day, they gotta support the cause of the criminals, even over their own son's death. It's sick, and hopefully this family will be exposed for what they have done with the DNC. I don't know the full details, but surely they will come out, because there's great investigative websites like Sean at SGT Report. I'm sure he'll get to the bottom of this or talk to the people who are. By the way, I have an interview with Sean tomorrow morning. Haven't been on SGT Report in a while, and I'm sure we'll get to a lot of really interesting stuff. There's so much to talk about. Kim.com goes all in. I knew Seth Rich. I was involved. Offering written testimony with evidence if Congress investigates the DNC staffer's murder. They have all the dirt. I mean, they have John Podesta saying, whoever the leaker was, we have to make an example of him. That was in the Podesta emails. So Podesta needs to not only go to jail, but needs to be put on the execution list. Him and his family and all the criminals. I mean, but Podesta seems like one of the ringleaders. Supposedly he was the head of the pedophile, the DNC / Clinton pedophile ring. So just unbelievable stuff, and it just makes my skin crawl every time I think about it or talk about it. So I'm going to move on. Bitcoin blows through 2,100. Bitcoin is now up over 135% year to date, having screamed through 2,000 and 2,100 overnight as the dollar limped to 6-month lows. Those of you thinking bubble, think about this. How long did it take you to buy your first Bitcoin or get involved in Bitcoin? Or have you yet? And you still haven't yet. That's how long it's going to take other people to do it. And people have started about a year ago that just found out about Bitcoin. They're going to start buying now. And then the people who are learning about it just now because of the news, it's almost at double the old all-time high of the Mt. Gox debacle. They'll talk about Mt. Gox, and then people will hear about it, they'll learn about it, and then they'll invest. Hear about it, learn about it, invest. Hear about it, learn about it, invest. My advice, many people have done the homework for you to get to this point. I go backwards. Invest, learn about it, hear about it. Get your feet in the Bitcoin. It is so important for your future, especially when the banks start crashing and people are saying, what the world is going on? Why is Steve Mnuchin in front of Congress asking for $20 trillion, just like Hank Paulson did in 2008 for $700 billion? And you will quickly understand that there will be no bailout this time. We are smarter now, and things have changed. The world has changed, and Bitcoin will thrive in the world of chaos. It'll bring calmness and relief to those looking to go outside of government, outside of the central banking system. TINA's legacy, free money, bread and circuses, and collapse. After the collapse of bread and circuses, the popularity of Rome eventually fell to roughly the population of Rome eventually fell to 25,000. But no worries, this time it's different. We'll get away with it because we buy our own debt. Technology is deflationary and so on. Simply put, the free bread and circuses will never end because we're so powerful and nothing is out of our control. That's Steve Mnuchin's mantra these days as he rigs every single market with computer programs. As Chris Powell said of gold way back when, probably 10 years now, there are no free markets. I absolutely agree with Chris. I don't think he took it far enough. Markets are rigged 100% of the time under full control of the Treasury and the Fed at all times and have been since the invention of computers back in the 1960s. It has been going on behind the scenes, and now people are learning about it with Michael Lewis's book and all the flash crashes. If you go back to every crash in the last 30 years, they were all started by computer programs. And these original programs were written by Alan Greenspan. I've gone over it many times. Go to road2roota.com and just do a search for any topic you want on the manipulation of our markets, and you'll find all the answers you need. Trump's budget will slash $1.7 trillion in entitlements, cut food stamps by 25%. Here's the problem with cutting entitlements, and when you give something away, as the Obama administration did for 8 years, when you give something away and then have to take it back later, people feel like they feel like you're stealing from them. Yes, they were given all these entitlements for free, but when you pull it back, there's a lot of animosity and they think you're stealing from them. So Trump slashing entitlements and cutting food stamps to get the economy going again, that's a backlash. That is a social backlash that will hit hard, and probably that's what they want. They want the federal government to be seen as corrupt and criminal, and they want the people not to support the federal government. Federal government was never meant to be 35 million people working directly or indirectly for this entity, and everybody sucking on the teat of the federal government, aka the money printers and the taxpayers. There is no such thing as a free lunch, meaning that every time someone is given something, somebody else has to pay for it, either by the dilution of the money supply, by the going into deeper debt or creating more money out of thin air, or by taxes. So free health care, free anything. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Somebody always pays. Free health care means that unless other people pay, it is taken out of your hide, because you got to pay the doctors and the lawyers who spend all that time in doctors and nurses spend all that time in medical school. You're asking them to give up their daily lives to work for free. And the government will pay them. Well, where does the government get their money? They either get it by diluting the money supply, which is a tax on you, or they tax you directly. So anybody says, that's why I like Jeff Berwick's volunteerism. I completely agree with helping the needy and helping out as much as you can. Free healthcare would be great as long as it's done voluntarily by the doctors who will be working for free. If you want doctors not to be paid, and if they volunteer their services, that's great. If they are forced to, serve people's needs and whims and healthcare desires by the government who is giving it out for free, that is not great. So volunteerism, I'm looking more into that, but it sounds like the way to go. If anybody's going to hold me up for my time, my effort, my money, by the pen of a law written by Congress that gives everybody free something, somebody's got to perform the services, and who's going to pay them? And if they don't get paid, they're not going to perform the service. If doctors don't get paid, they're not going to become doctors. There will be no doctors. It goes round and round and round, and there's no such thing as a free lunch. Moving on. Let's go. My prediction is that around October 12th, markets will get horribly interesting. Yeah, that seems like a interesting time, and it's right around the end of the USA's fiscal year, which ends at the end of September. A lot of people saying, when will the crash happen? I would say it began in 2008, is ongoing. When will it end? I don't know. Nobody knows. Clearly, the cryptocurrencies are saying something is going on. The rise in the cryptocurrency is saying somebody knows something, and there's some very big money sneaking into the cryptocurrency, just nibbling on the edges. But the big money, the derivative money, will come flowing into the cryptocurrencies as well, and the whole thing will blow sideways. So make sure you have your cryptos in your own possession, because when the exchanges shut down, I don't know how many exchanges there are now. I would say at least dozens of large exchanges that, because we need to understand that exchanges are just trades of non-official cryptocurrencies. None of the trades that happen on exchanges are blockchain transactions. It basically, exchanges like Kraken, it's a pool. Everybody pools their money and their cryptocurrency, and it goes back and forth. But none of those are blockchain transactions. It's all done within the pool. That's why they can trade millions of bitcoins every day. And even though there's only been 16 million bitcoins ever made, how does that happen? It happens because none of these are real Bitcoin transactions. It's only when you pull your Bitcoin out that it's a real transaction and goes on the blockchain. That's what happened to Mt. Gox, as I've said many times. It wasn't somebody stealing 650,000 Bitcoins like they claimed. It was people started removing Bitcoin from the exchange, and the exchange didn't have the Bitcoin. They didn't have close to the amount of Bitcoin. They were trading millions of Bitcoin every single day, when back then I think it was like 7 or 8 million Bitcoin had ever been mined. So it was insane. So you got to look out for that. Keep your Bitcoin away from a third party. All right, major shakeup. Ford fires CEO Mark Fields as punishment for declining stock price. Confirming weekend rumors of a dramatic management shakeup at Ford, late on Sunday, Forbes reported that Ford would replace CEO Mark Fields with Jim Hackett, the former head of office furniture maker Steelcase, who joined the automaker in 2016. Fields leaves after a 28-year career at Ford, including a prominent tenure as the head of the company's North American operation. Yeah, the economy's not doing as well as Trump says. The Trump bounce is ridiculous. That was all done by Steve Mnuchin with the stock market. If you build it, they will come. Behavioral economics. Trump wasn't really good at it, not as good as Obama and people before him, because there are certain things that Trump didn't rig as much. All the data coming out of the U.S. government on inflation, on GDP and all that. Obama was great at massaging it and changing it and lying. Clinton probably perfected the art when he changed all the metrics of what inflation is, with the help of Alan Greenspan, our friend, and the king of market rigging. He invented electronic assets. That was his invention. He was the guy who screwed up the Y2K thing, inventing only 2 digits for the year instead of 4. So yeah, that's the way it goes. And if you don't rig the markets, Trump has told Mnuchin to rig the markets, but he's not rigging the data as much as Obama did. The data coming from the U.S. government. So interesting days. All right, we've gone on long enough this morning. Let's see if there's anything exciting. I think everything exciting. UK threatens to quit Brexit talks over excessive divorce payment demands. With negotiations between the UK and the EU likely to formally begin on June 19th, Bloomberg reports that Brexit Secretary David Davis has preemptively lashed out at EU officials, threatening that the UK will quit talks on leaving the European Union unless the bloc drops its demands for a divorce payment as high as euro $100 billion to leave. I'd say just break the contract. Just walk away. Stop. What do you need the EU for, really, UK? You don't need the EU for anything. I think all these talks will go away anyway with the crashing of the banking system. as many of the contracts will be useless. I mean, the euro will be gone. The EU will be gone most likely, and they need to go. That's the last stronghold, financial stronghold of the bad guys. And here's something I've talked about for a long time. The perfect storm hits used car values. Foundation of auto industry is faltering. All kinds of lease contracts are coming back, and the cars are the valuation of the residual. That's the amount that isn't written down at the end of say a 3-year lease or a 5-year lease. All these leases are coming up at the end of basically this summer. A huge flood of used cars coming in, and everybody's giving back their cars because the buyout price, which is usually right around where the residual is too high, and they can get cheap used cars now. So they're not going to buy the leased car that they got because the residual is too high. So they go out and they give back their leased car, and then they go buy a used car for half the price. And that's going to get worse and worse during the summer. So this summer is probably a good time. If you're in the market for a used car, I'd wait a couple more months until basically the car companies are giving away cars. A $5,000 car will go for $1,000, that type of thing, or a $50,000 car will go for $10,000. That's the kind of nightmare the used car industry is looking at, and the bank write-downs are going to be gigantic. Now, a lot of these were bundled up and sent into asset-backed securities, ABSs, and they take all the leases and they put into an asset-backed security, and then they slice and dice them with different returns for different tranches of the package, and it's a nightmare. So, and this goes to the people who own most of these asset-backed securities are pension funds and retirement funds. So look out for that. As if those entities need more pain, they're going to take write-downs on their asset-backed securities. All right, Greek authorities to launch mass confiscation of safe deposit boxes, securities, and homes in tax evasion crackdown. The Greek parliament is set to pass regulations permitting the mass confiscation of safe deposit boxes, contents, and financial assets such as securities. Tax authorities will be able to issue online confiscation notices and immediately get their hands on the contents of safe deposit boxes, confiscating cash, precious stones, jewelry, gold, silver, Bitcoin. Anybody who keeps their metal or their assets in a bank safe deposit box is insane. Insane. The reason you hold assets outside of the system is in case the banks crash, and the banks will shut their door and lock you out of your own safe deposit box. In this case, I would assume if this is front page of the Greek newspapers, why wouldn't every single sane human being in Greece walk into their bank today before this bill passes and pull everything out of your safe deposit box? Anybody who doesn't do that deserves to lose everything. It's harsh, but it's true. Same with you in America. They will confiscate safe deposit boxes. It's easy. And anybody who has anything of value in a safe deposit box deserves to lose it. I hate to tell you, all you gold and silver, if some third party holds your gold and silver, you will lose it. Whether it's through government confiscation, through the crashing of the system, and the guards who are guarding your vault walking off with your metal. That's where we are. I'm sorry, but that's the way the world works. So if you have anything in a safe deposit box, Monday, today, walk in there to your bank, bring a backpack, bring a wheelbarrow if it's silver, and get it out. Because what's going on in Greece right now will go on in every single country around the world at some point if they try to save the system. So get it out. Get it out. That's it for the news today. Your Horn of Aziz. I hope you enjoyed your daily news. This is the news as it relates to the Road to Roota theory. Please, please, please go to roadtoroota.com and put your email in and your name, and you get free emails every day, and you get a free book called Silver, Gold, Bitcoin, and God. And if you look right at the top of the website, there's book 2 is also being given away for free. It's called Out of the Darkness. So you get 2 books for nothing. For nothing, cost you nothing. And then if you are smart, you would join the Road to Roota private road, and you'd get your $30 in hard copy Bitcoin mailed to your front door. And you can hold that outside of your safe deposit box and hang on to it for your first toe dip into Bitcoin. And those who did it 1.5 years ago have already paid for their full year's subscription and are sitting there with $300 worth of Bitcoin. Actually, it was $299 at the time, so it was $200 worth of Bitcoin. But it's paid for itself. And so go to roadtoroota.com, find out. There's a subscriber page on the top left, and find out how much you're interested in the private road subscription, which you get access to everything, all this information. This is Bix Weir. Subscribe to this video too. We'll talk to you later.